Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of perspective drawing. We spent a couple of times already hanging out trying to figure out all of the rules that are required to make three-dimensional drawings look really good. Hopefully you've gotten really comfortable with these steps because today we're going to take it to the next level still. As you can see, I've done all sorts of different shapes to go above and beyond what was covered in the last video, and it's highly recommended that you give this a shot, y'all. Don't just think that doing what's in the video alone is going to get you comfortable enough to keep moving along with me in each subsequent video. We are going to take these three-dimensional drawings and truly make them look awesome. All the steps we know, we're going to look at different applications of them. Some of the rules will kind of bend and break. Sometimes we won't do them at all. It's going to get really difficult today, but that means it's going to be more fun than ever. Follow along with me as we go. Let's give it a shot. Hey, the plain and simple on today is we are going to make you absolutely awesome at this as long as you've reached a comfort level with the things that we've done before. In the first lesson, we worked on simple shapes, ones that you know the names of. We played around with that in lots of different ways. In the second lesson, we moved on and tried to tackle some shapes that you are less familiar with, perhaps. In this lesson, we are going to take it to a whole new level and try to do things like this with the shapes that we create. Now, none of this is going to be too tricky as long as you're comfortable with the steps that we've already been through, because you'll see soon enough we're going to exactly do the same steps we already know to make awesome things happen like that. Here we go. No new tool is coming into play. We still need a nicely sharpened pencil with a little bit of eraser to work with. We need a piece of paper and a ruler. Because I'm so confident that you've already had your practice and you feel comfortable doing this, I'm going to totally breeze through the intro steps and how to do steps 1, 2, 3, 4 to get a three-dimensional function. So I brought my remote control. I'm just going to hit fast forward on this and... Okay, beautiful. So we have a shape to work with now, going through all the steps that we know of drawing a shape, connecting it to the vanishing point, running parallel lines, and erasing the end. Now, we want to take this to the next level to be able to make this look even cooler than it was before in terms of adding details in three-dimensionality. I'm going to start by repeating steps 2 and 3, which is connecting to the vanishing point and running parallel lines, but we're just going to do that more than what you have seen so far. So let's try connecting to the vanishing point. Let's add some more connections in place on this one and just see what starts to happen. So I'm going to add in another connection line right there. We'll scoot the ruler down a little bit. I'm trying to make these evenly spaced if I can manage. Another connection there, and we'll try one more connection there. And now look at what's happening to the side of our box here. We have some really cool additions to the three-dimensional quality. So let's run some along the bottom as well. If we grab our connection point and connect along the side here, let's scoot it down. Again, we're going to try to keep them evenly spaced if we can manage, making sure that we're pivoting our ruler all the way across, continuing to use this vanishing point dot for all the lines that we draw. I'm going to keep showing you ways that we can add and add and add to increase the coolness of the three-dimensional drawings that you have. So let's do that box again. In fact, let's hit the remote. Okay, there we go. We've got another shape that we can deal with there, another simple box, but let's look at a different complication. Let's repeat step 3, which is parallel. If I run horizontal lines all the way down this side and vertical lines all the way down this side, it's going to give us a really cool appearance to things. Again, we want to try to get them evenly spaced as we spread them across. So I'm going to add a horizontal line right there. About that spacing, I'm going to go again and run a horizontal line right there. Okay, now I'm going to tip them up and make them go vertical on the sides over here. But by doing this trick, repeating step 2 or 3, it's just some simple addition of details, really punches out the three-dimensional qualities of these shapes that we're dealing with. So now let's think about movement. Still thinking about these same concepts, repeating steps we already have, I'm going to give myself a circular shape down here. And we know how to get that moving, so here we go. Okay. Okay, we've got it going on, but if you will notice, I did not do the erasing step because I'm actually going to use these lines that are in the back here rather than erasing them. So thinking again about repeating step 2, on this one I repeated step 2 on the sides of the form itself. On this one I'm going to do it in the space behind it, and what that will do, I'm going to even do some dashed and dotted lines, but it is going to start to begin to hint at motion or movement of the solid itself. So I use vanishing point lines in a dotted or dashed kind of appearance, leading all the way to the three-dimensional solid that we have. And now this three-dimensional cylinder kind of looks like it's in motion, coming out from some faraway space, right towards us. If I add in some parallels onto this one, what is going to happen to my shape? So let's see what happens if we combine repeating step 2 and 3 in what we do here. So along the bottom here, I'm going to make a horizontal line that is parallel to what happens on the shape. And I'm going to make another horizontal line that is parallel to what happens on the shape. And then I'm going to run them up the sides as well with vertical lines parallel to that side of the box as well. And now we have a grid-like appearance, almost like the effect of a Rubik's Cube. So let's see what happens. Let's throw them on the front as well. On the front of the shape, I don't need to think about any kind of connection lines necessarily for this. All I'm going to look at is my verticals and horizontals that I have running along the sides. And this will complete the sort of gridded off appearance and complete the kind of Rubik's Cube effect. It also is starting to resemble like a glass tower in a downtown area as well, with all the windows and the steel beams that run up and down it. Now that we've added some complexity to this one, let's come back and look at this one. I have a solid here that runs to a parallel, and then it's another multiple of it and another multiple of it. But I have a neat trick that I can show you. So if you start with your normal form and then begin to add more parallels down the row, we can put breaks in between them and make it appear like two distinct solids floating in space. So I'm going to start this by using my eraser, actually. And what I want you to notice is directly following this parallel line and leading up to the next parallel line, which is here, I'm actually going to erase the connection in between it. I'm going to come down and erase this connection in between it, and I'm going to erase this connection in between it. And now if you notice, I have like a gap in between them. Now, in order to finish this off then, what I've really got to do is I've got to see the face of this other solid. And to finish the face, we have a horizontal line and a vertical line. So if I come right down here at the top of this box and add a horizontal line to go across, and then right at this corner, if I add a vertical line to go up, I now have the appearance of two distinct solids, and again, it is not breaking free of any of the rules that we already know, we're just giving it new purpose. Let's go back to the circle again to learn one other really, really awesome kind of technique that we can do. After I've run through the basic steps on this one of connecting it to the vanishing point and giving it some parallels, I am going to introduce an opening, a three-dimensional opening into this solid itself. So now, in order to put an opening, like a space that you could literally travel into the shape for, what we need to begin with is another shape on the face of this solid. Now, truly it can be any shape, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with the shape that we already have, which is a circle. So I am going to draw a circle within a circle. And now I have maybe what could be a hole going through that whole cylinder. Now the way that this trick really sells well is repeat step 2. Connection lines on the inside of this shape. I'm just going to simply link in with the vanishing point, and I'm going to pivot the ruler, draw another, pivot the ruler, draw another, pivot the ruler, draw another. The entire time my ruler is locked into the vanishing point, which is right here, I just simply pivot the ruler and draw another, pivot the ruler and draw another. And you can kind of see what's happening on the inside there. I've got a couple left to finish up, so I'm going to pivot the ruler, draw another line. I'm going to pivot the ruler and draw another line. And there, now I've really got an effective illusion happening where it really looks like I can go inside of this space. Watch, I can even think about parallel. If I think about this curve right here and repeat that curve a little bit right in there, look at what happens there. Repeat that curve a little bit right there. And now it's really feeling like I'm going to get inside of this thing. So let's go on the outside and repeat our parallel line step. Give it another curve there. Give it another curve there. With the addition of all of these details on all of these different solids, your solids will begin to feel very solid and realistic. Let's try another one with the box now. I'm going to give myself a box over on this side. We'll just add it in. We got plenty of room on here. And again, it's always best to continue to practice and practice and practice and try new ideas to see what you can come up with. All right, we've got our boxes ready to go. I'm gonna do like I did on the circle here. I'm gonna put a box inside of the box. And now for this one to work, it actually only takes one line. I'm not gonna leave it right there, but I'll show you exactly what this does. From the vanishing point to the corner right here, if I make one connection line from that space and just leave it, that's a very, very convincing illusion that that's already open. I'm gonna follow that by running lines that run parallel to this line here and over here parallel to that there. So have a look at this. If we run some vertical lines over here, and then we're gonna run the horizontal lines to match up in that same space, running back this way. And now that's become even more convincing than just that one line in place. Let's try one more here. I'm gonna go back to the circle. We're gonna pull off the same effect essentially, but I want you to be able to see that you can do this with truly any shape on the face of your solid. So now that we've got our solid, I'm gonna draw a kind of a wacky shape, something like we did in the last lesson where I have a lot of curves. This is a shape with a name that I don't know. It's just gonna be a very, very squiggly shape on the inside of here. Now that shape, again, I'm going to pull off this trick. On the inside of this shape, I'm going to make more connection lines, and by doing so, it's going to make it look like there is a three-dimensional opening within the confines of that shape that I just drew. The lines that I'm going to start with here, I'm actually beginning by trying to draw them to connect at some of the curved spaces that I have in my shape. And then once I've got those in place, then I'm going to go through and draw even more connections in other places as well. So now I've got a couple of the main pieces defined here, but then I'm going to pivot and draw lots and lots more connections. So here we go. I'm going to pivot a little bit and draw another connection, pivot a little bit and draw another connection. Do notice that for all of these, though, for the effect to happen, the lines that you're drawing stay within the boundaries of that new shape that you've introduced. We've been doing very well here. We started off with some of the basics in drawing in perspective. We got into some more complicated shapes, and today we started to take it to a whole new level of awesome. Simply repeating steps that we already know to increase the three-dimensional quality and realisticness of your illusions that you're creating. Just because the video is over, don't let that stop you. If you want to become really good at this, really talented at being able to do this, it takes more and more practice. So practice lots of other ideas, try it on different shapes, and see what kinds of creative things you can come up with. And then come back and join me here on the next lesson. Thank you.